These are just a few of the companies that have been changed recently by activist investors: Yahoo, Brookdale Senior Living, The Children's Place, Office Depot, American Apparel, and PetSmart. I'm a business management major, and it's important for me to know the weaknesses that activists look for when targeting companies. And for all of you, all of us can be stockholders within a company for as low as a penny or as high as thousands of dollars people buy in stocks. When you buy a stock in a company, you then have an ownership in the company. So the more money you spend, the bigger percentage of ownership you have within that company. Activists have a wide variety of tactics that they use on different companies. And today I'll go over the two different types of activists, the investors' tactics, and examples of activist investors. When people hear the word activist, they usually first think of social activists. Social activists are activists that are looking to make social change in a community or in the world. Most social activists aren't activist investors, but that can be the case. For example, PETA is an activist group, a social activist group that fights for animal rights, and they bought a stock within Canadian Goose, which is a jacket brand that most of you probably heard of, and they make their jackets out of fox fur. So with PETA buying into their company, they're able to decrease odds that they're going to keep buying fur for these jackets. Activist investors are interested in shareholder values. Shareholder values is the percentage you get back once you buy in a stock at the end of every year. So the better the company's doing, the more money you're going to get back at the end of each year. Usually, activist investors are individuals, but can grow to be bigger groups. Even though activist investors usually work alone, they have a strategic plan for ways to be effective. Activist investors have a strategic plan for every time they're making a change within the company. According to How to Think Like an Activist, they claim that activists look for three main things when targeting a company. First, they look for value, variety, and vote. When looking for value, they ask themselves, is the company undervalued? Could they be making more, and can we help them make more? When looking at variety, the investor asks, is there multiple changes we can make, or is there just one set thing that they're focusing on? And they want to look for more than just one thing that they can invest in, or else it's kind of a waste of time. For vote, are shareholders going to agree with the investor, or will it be a waste of time? Are the shareholders going to be easy to persuade? After identifying the target, investors build their way up in the company and try and get more power. So with more stocks, they have more power and more ownership within the company. Lastly, they release detailed reports, and within these detailed reports, they list the company's failures and what they plan to do to make better these failures. The most successful investors follow these plans. And this is a chart that shows that in 2014, there was 859 investors working on all different companies, and since then, it's just grown and skyrocketed. I'm going to go over a few examples of activist investors working with companies. So first is Sandell Asset Management versus Brookdale Senior Living. Brookdale started facing troubles in 2014 when there was a large boom of senior living companies, and Sandell stepped in, gained a spot on their board, and was able to raise shareholders' value, get business booming again. And then for Barrington Capital Group versus the Children's Place. Barrington's goal was to improve shareholders' value. So he had enough shareholder power to direct a new nominee on their board, and with this he picks up a manager from Macy's that's very high up, and was able to double the profits of the Children's Place, which meant that the shareholders' values also went up. Lastly, Jana versus PetSmart. According to New York Post, Jana worked with PetSmart for 5 months, and at the end of these 5 months, she gained over $400 million. She asked PetSmart to put itself up for sale, and when they denied to do so, she threatened them to put up papers that said, detailed papers that said their failures and what her plan was to do so. And since they did not want this to happen, they surrendered and looked for a buyer, and once they got a buyer, then they've had great sales ever since. no matter what your interest is, whether it be animal rights, human rights, environmental concerns, or increasing shareholder value, we all have the influence or the ability to influence the decisions and outcomes of companies by purchasing a stock within the company. In this speech, I went over the difference between activist investors and social activists, activist tactics, and recent examples of activist investors influencing companies. As you can see, activist investors have a large variety of tactics that they use on different companies. Investors are people just like us trying to make a change within the company for whatever their interest may be.